Ladies and gentlemen, it's a beautiful night for some esports. Fall is upon us. A lot of us are back from break, and it's the game that I've had circled on my calendar for a minute. It's Nebraska, Michigan in Overwatch. I'm very excited to see this one. I've got my boy New here with me.
Hello. That was quite the intro. You made it whole cinematic and super interesting. That's what I like it. I like it.
Excellent.
We're moved from our normal home on Nebraska Esports over here to the BEC channel, so that's super exciting. Um, and yeah, Michigan, Nebraska, two solid teams, good Overwatch. That's what I'm hoping for. Is just good Overwatch.
That's what I'm excited to see. And it looks like we're about to get right into it on some Oasis. I'll let you take it away with some play by play.
Okay.
I guess we have a
Uh,
minute to think about this. So,
yeah,
what are you
you
looking
get a little
for
bit
out
of
of
time.
Nebraska, and what are you looking for? Since you're more connected to the team right now.
Nebraska. I don't know. We they've been playing a lot of Zarya and a lot of Queen comps, and a lot of Sigma, but that's just kind of everyone. Um, I think on Oasis we'll probably see um, more of that kind of Queen Rush kind of vibe. Um, and we're about to find out. We're actually going to see Zarya, so I was wrong. So Nebraska is running a Zarya Brawl, and it looks like Michigan is going to be running a kind of Brawl. It's going to be the Mayhem Brawl just a little bit with the Sigma and the Bastion Tracer combo.
Right. I'm excited to
So
see. I've not seen too much film on Michigan, but I know they are undefeated right now. So I'm hoping we see a lot of really good battling here.
yeah, I think it'll be close. We'll see what ends up happening. It looks like Michigan is going to start by taking the high ground on the left side of the map. They're going to get walled off by Spark, and they're going to rotate to the other door, just kind of poking each other out. It looks like Nebraska is going to play below them, forcing Michigan to rotate around to try to recontest the point here. And Flippy is going to find Shromo, as well as the lamp is just a second late from MVP. Flippy is also going to find some time. So Michigan up by 3 now, 4, and that's probably going to be the fight.
Yeah, we will unfortunately have to see a reset from Nebraska. Probably just a new regain, get a new push in there. Uh, yeah, I'm not too concerned about it right now from the Nebraska perspective, but from the Michigan perspective, that was a really good first contact.
Yeah, both teams coming in to set up early. It looks like Shromo's going to opt to switch over to the Sigma, and they're going to abandon the Zarya for now. Sometime is going to get found. Shromo's also going to get found by Yamitra. She's going to find MVP, and Spark is just going to reset off of the map.
Yeah, another unfortunate push from Nebraska, but Michigan really holding strong here. Not a lot of difficulties from the Michigan side right now, which is really impressive to see.
Michigan has a lot of ultimates coming up for this next fight as well, with the Mabe Wizard, which they actually used right now. As Spark is going to find Hugh, but Michigan is going to respond by finding Shromo and Spark as well. So Nebraska Esports push back into their spawn room and are kind of just stuck and have to deal with it.
Which is a very unfortunate situation to get into. It's very difficult to get out of if you're really pushed back in there. But it looks like Michigan kind of holding the point right now. Trying to see what's going on.
90% coming up on almost the round. Nebraska Esports are going to use the beat to get in as well as the window, pushing onto the point. Hugh's going to find MVP, Spark going to find Flippy, so much better trades for Michigan with both supports for Nebraska being down now. Flux comes out from Shromo. It's going to find 2 with the combined from Artillery Strike from Sometime, and Shromo finds Yamitra, and that leaves just Flippy alive on the point. And it looks like they're gonna just give the point over to Nebraska. Final fight territory, however, for Michigan.
Yeah, it's a very good positioning for Michigan. They are very happy probably to just say, let's reset, let's just hit this one time, do what we did to start this fight, and just take it from here, and just close out this set. But Nebraska hoping to kind of get a good feel of this and hold on to the point for a little bit longer. But Michigan is capping the point right now, so this may be it.
Yeah, flipped over. Nebraska has no ultimates to work with, so it's going to have to be a very dry fight. Shromo goes found early, though, and Cloud gets found by Flippy there. Cheese is going to find Sparks. And I think that's all of Nebraska dead. Just Shromo back on the ball, but not going to be able to do much in a 1v5 situation. And Yamitra is going to get the final blow on that, but that's going to be the first sub map. Going over to Michigan.
Very strong performance from Michigan for this first round. Not a lot of challenge. Nebraska got on and capped for around 24%, I believe it was, but it took them, I believe it was 3 pushes to do it. So hoping to see some improvement from Nebraska in terms of the offensive, and then just in general getting a little bit better at holding against this Michigan team comp.
Yeah. I think swapping over the Sigma was the right play. So hopefully they'll kind of lock it in. But overall, just a very dominant, controlling presence from Michigan, uh, and just better play in general, I think. So looks like Michigan is going to rotate for the high ground first immediately. Nebraska Esports going to choose to play low ground.
Yeah, I'm not
MVP
sure.
gets found by Flippy right away. Sometimes going to trade it out for Cheese, but with Shromo falling to Hugh, that's going to be that's going to be a reset for Nebraska Esports and point going to Michigan.
Another very unfortunate situation as we, head into the second round from Nebraska's side, but from Michigan, this is, just restarting from new and doing the same thing. It looks like, and I mean, I'm impressed right now. I'm very impressed with their gameplay.
Not much in terms of ult economy for either team. Michigan's a little bit ahead on pretty much every ultimate, except for Beat because of that early pick onto Cheese. But as I say that, he was going to find Shromo again after a big wall, and that's going to be a quick another fight. Just Nebraska Esports falling very quickly to Michigan, who are just a little bit more in charge of the tempo.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to quite diagnose this as. I want to say team play and a lot of team shots, but I can't be too sure as it stands right now, because this isn't the Nebraska we usually see, especially during control to start. So it's a little confusing for me, but Michigan is just being very impressive right now with the team play.
Toby one's got Flux, so got it 15% faster than Shromo, but I don't think they're going to need to use it because another quick team wipe finds Shromo early again, which is just Nebraska resetting off of early picks onto Shromo. They do have 75%, Michigan does on the point, which is going to be very difficult for Nebraska Esports to crack into, especially with just the window from MVP, and they're going into Flux, Artillery Strike, and May Blizzard. It's going to be real tight. Artillery Strike comes in, doesn't find any picks, does some good damage. Flux from Toby One comes out, sometime finds Hugh, Toby One finds Spark, Yamitra finds Shromo, and I don't know that they're going to get a touch. Cloud doesn't quite make it, and that is going to be map 1 going to Michigan in a rather commanding style.
Yeah, very dominant performance from Michigan on this first map. This is a very good set of Overwatch from Michigan. And it's all I can really put it as. It's just really good team play, really cohesive, and really just fluid around the map from what I can see. a lot of team shots, and it's just been very beautifully played from them so far.
Yeah, very, very commanding. They're really controlling the tempo, and that's something that Nebraska Esports usually struggles with. Is if they fall behind in tempo, they can't really uh, make up for it. So they have to be commanding and really take control of the fight and fight plan early. But with not getting much ult charge at all because of those quick 3 fights in a row where Shomo gets found first, I mean, they don't really have anything to go into the next fight with, and so they just have to take a dry fight, and then Shomo gets picked off early again, and it was just kind of a cycle of Michigan just outplaying Nebraska.
Yeah, Nebraska just taking the wrong losses in terms of who they lose in the initial, and then they get forced to reset pretty quickly. Between that being a thing that would be, maybe a little bit different if Shroma could last a little bit longer, or if somebody else could get a pick initially on Michigan. It's hard to say what Nebraska really needs to do because right now Michigan is so dominant. I'm not sure what all can really change to make this a more even fight.
I think it's gonna have to be picking a good map that they can control and maybe try to force Michigan off of that Sigma comp that they seem to be very comfortable on. Um, I think it sounds like we're going to King's Row, which is notoriously in ranked at least. It is a uh, Reinhardt map. I don't know that any team is going to play Rhine. It is certainly a possibility, I suppose. Don't want to because I want to see the Rhine. Okay, that's why I'm bringing it up. Don't you laugh at me?
No, no, no.
No.
I like seeing the Rhine too. You know me.
Oh, you are the Rhine
We're
one
the duo.
trick. How could I
I'm the Rhine
forget?
one. I'm the Rhine one trick, man.
I think
Love seeing Rhine play.
it's gonna be close. I think um more than likely Michigan will choose to pick start on defense, which it looks like they do. Um, so I think Nebraska Esports gonna have to find a way to crack that initial choke very early because they were having some troubles with chokes and the May walls from Hugh from Michigan's side, and that Kings Row choke at the very beginning of the map between Tacker Spawn and Point A is a very menacing. It's a menacing Maywall spot. So
Yeah.
uh, they really just got to make sure if anyone's getting walled, it needs to be their entire team getting walled together, so they can at least hope to keep Stromo alive, and Stromo can't lead the pack. But we'll have to see how that all turns out. Um,
Yeah, this is just going to be a very interesting situational considering what we were seeing with choke points and the similar sort of situationals that we'll run into here, and how Nebraska kind of changes up the comp to adjust and hopefully overcome.
I said it, and we're in map right now, and I'm currently looking at Nebraska's team comp. They had Reinhardt picked, but now it's reset because of game code starting. So we'll see if they're gonna keep that Rhine comp they had selected. If so, that'd be a lot of fun to see the shrine. But Reinhardt kind of just gets dominated by Sigma, unless it's played very well, and you really have to just command the space and rush onto him. But Reinhardt also really struggles into the May Sigma, and we're not actually going to see. We're going to see Michigan on the Reinhardt comp showing first here. So we'll have to see how that
Interesting.
goes. Looks like they're going with a standard Ryan Brawl, which is not too much to be shocked by. Nebraska Esports going to go Diva, Genji, Mercy, Lifeweaver. So they're really going with a weird backline. I've missed the last few practices, but I haven't seen a comp like this yet.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this plays out. This could be an off pick that's somehow very comfortable for them, and it could work in their favor. Who knows? We'll see very shortly here.
And with that, we're off to the races. I did forget that Nebraska was on attacker side, so that might have been what did it for me. But no wall coming out. right away. And they're just kind of playing around the statue. Not much to be said. And as I say that, sometime is going to find Hugh with the right click from Sojourn, and that's going to be Nebraska Esports' go signal. So they're going to be pushing on very quickly into the back. Lamp comes out of Yamitra. Flippy finds Cloud, however, so definitely a better pick for Michigan because they'll have to better sustain than Nebraska Esports will. Kind of stuck in Hotel is Flippy, so Stromo's going to find them out. And Nebraska Esports now 2 ticks gone off checkpoint 1. And it looks like Michigan is going to push back in here. They're going to get a touch at the very last second. Rush comes out of MVP nice and early. Sometime is going to find the Lamp, and Spark is going to end up finding Toby 1. And Stromo finds Hugh. Sometime is going to get traded out by Yamitra, but Nebraska Esports are going to find the last couple picks, and they're going to cap the point up, and that's going to push us into the payload section of the hybrid map now.
What I like about that first push is it was very much in their favor. And after the first little skirmish around the statue, it was very much in their control. And now we get to see them with a couple ults run into this payload section and really start to get things going. And I'm very excited to see how this continues to play out for them.
Yeah, Nebraska Esports definitely has the ult economy advantage here, just for the very beginning. So they've got to come in hard with the tempo. And it looks like they're going to do that. Sherman's going to throw the bomb just around the corner. And it's going to end up finding Cheese, which was the kind of the win condition for Michigan was that beat, and so the beat doesn't come out, but the blizzard does from Hugh. It looks like they're going to find Cloud as a result, but Nebraska Esports are going to get a couple more trade outs, finishing off what's remaining of Michigan, and they're going to get very close to capping checkpoint 2. I'm not sure if Michigan's going to be able to get back in time to touch. They do have Beat and Shatter, which are 2 rather large ultimates. Cloud would have to make sure he doesn't get shattered if they do go in, and it looks like they're going to. Spark gets his blade in this fight, and Cloud falls to Hugh, so that is beat off the table for Nebraska. Does get a little bit of wall in there, but Nebraska Esports are going to choose just to turn around, leave that fight. MVP is going to get found by Toby 1 off the pin. Not much else left to be said for that fight.
There was a good rush there for Michigan to get back in before that checkpoint was attained, because once that checkpoint's attained, you really just let a lot of space grow, or not grow, but close between you and the spawns for Nebraska, and that essentially means you're kind of pinned against the wall for the next 3 minutes, but they prevented that. So we'll be able to see a little bit more life in this round here from both sides. We'll get to see a little bit more action, and that's what I'm here for, is a little bit more action.
Shatter finds 3, the backline plus sometime in MVP are going to get picked up immediately by Michigan. Stromo's going to trade it out for Hugh, however, but Stromo's going to get demeched by Toby 1, and Nebraska Esports used the blade in that fight, but nothing came of it, and Michigan using Shatter and Beat. So, but both teams have good ult cycles coming up here. No one's really getting oppressed in terms of ult economy like we saw on map 1 with what Michigan was doing. So another bomb from Stromo. We might see it early, we might see it late. It looks like it's going to be earlier rather than later. Cloud gets frozen in the blizzard from Hugh, and Flippy's going to use the overclock. Not going to find anything. Yamitra is going to find sometime there at the very end. Hugh's going to find Spark. Cloud going to trade out Yamitra, but with that, Flippy is going to find MVP and Cloud, and so Nebraska Esports sent back to the spawn room once again.
You know, this is more consistent with what we saw in map 1 from Michigan, so this is more seeing kind of the best of both sides now. I think Nebraska finally got some stuff going, and now Michigan realized, oh man, this isn't going to be, you know, a steamroll like map 1 may have felt like. So now I think we're seeing a little bit more adjustment and a little bit more safe economy play with the ults. and more smart plays from Michigan. But we're seeing Nebraska really starting to try to push and get in there as much as possible. And that's what I want to see out of Nebraska, coming from experience watching them before. But Michigan adjusting very well here.
Toby One has the shatter, and it's basically always a free shatter into the comp Nebraska Esports has. So we'll have to see what ends up happening with that and when Toby One chooses to use that. Excuse me. Yamitra does have Window, and they have Beat as well. Window comes out as well as the Shatter. Shatter's going to just find Spark. Then sometime is going to end up turning it around and finding Toby One. Shomo throws the bomb out into the back line. No shield to block it from Toby One, but the May wall, I believe, was the one that is going to be the thing that blocks that for Michigan. Beat comes out from Cheese for Michigan side, and they're going to push in with Blizzard as well. Yamitra, I didn't see who they found. MVP is going to find Hugh. Nebraska Esports, I think they still have 5 here, so maybe it was just the equipment. But they do have Flippy's Overclock, and Nebraska Esports just has the Blade coming up. So they're going to have to make it work, both teams. Overclock comes out of Flippy, just firing some shots off into the distance. Blade comes out of Spark, but Flippy's going to find Spark, so ultimate Overclock beats Blade. Shromo finds Hugh, sorry. Shromo finds Hugh going into the backline. Cloud's going to drop the beat. Overtime timer hits, and Cloud's going to get found by Toby One. Toby One just swinging the hammer and causing lots of damage. MVP's going to throw down the rush, but with some time, and MVP also falling, leaving just Shromo and Spark on cart. Bomb goes off for Shromo. Shromo gets remeked, but it's not looking great. Cheese is going to find Spark, just stalling out the cart expertly. Both teams just not willing to give it up. He was going to find Cloud, and I don't think, yep, that's going to be round 1 going to Michigan. Well, not round 1 going to Michigan, but Michigan is able to hold right before checkpoint 2, so it's going to be a good contention, a good place to take those fights. We'll have to see if Nebraska is able to have a little bit better of a first point hold, but based on what we just saw, it's going to be very challenging, at least for in the later stages of the game, if comps stay the same.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting round, seeing how Nebraska kind of got stopped up at that second checkpoint, but they were able to kind of push in there a little bit, and they got it close. It was very close to getting to that second checkpoint and getting a little bit more time. So I'm interested to see how both teams adjust and how things kind of happen going forward here.
Currently, it looks like comps are staying about the same. Not much change from either side. I mean, currently Michigan is changing up the DPS line. So instead of Sojourn and May, they're running Hanzo and Widowmaker, just really shutting down those long angles, holding it for the lovely one shot, so that way they can just take control of everything.
Yeah, what we're seeing here now is just kind of some setup, getting ready to hopefully hold this a little bit longer than what Michigan did in the last round. But Michigan very much pushing straight past the statue, trying to get all through one route, right onto point, trying to shove Nebraska right off.
Yeah, both teams just kind of taking to either side of Hotel. Lamp does come out of Yamitra early, and it's going to get picked up by Shromo, the Lamp. So not much more to bail out. Shromo gets low-ish, is going to take the high ground, kind of give up some space for Michigan to take. Michigan gets a good wall to keep them off of the point. And Toby One is going to find Spark, but Shromo's going to trade it out for Hugh, so DPS for DPS. Michigan does have Nebraska held completely outside of point A at this point, but it looks like, as I say that, of course, Nebraska Esports are they're going to rush point, and they're going to run it down. They're going to end up finding Flippy and Toby One, so this should be a fight win for Nebraska Esports off of just the rush of MVP. Yamitra did invest the window, but nothing's going to come out of it, as sometime is going to find Hugh and Yamitra, and Shromo will close it out with Cheese. So giving up one tick, but they're able to continue holding uh, on to point A.
Yeah, very good stuff from Nebraska there. And I mean, I was really thinking that Michigan was going to get that just because they ran in there and they just shoved Nebraska right off of it with the May wall, and they just had everything ready to go for it.
Like
And
they're
then
doing
Nebraska,
now.
like they are doing right now
He
as
does
I'm speaking.
find Shromo as he threw his bomb up, so not able to remech. Spark and Cloud do get Yamitra and Flippy, but Toby one's going to find Cloud, so it's going to be a little difficult for Nebraska to get in here, especially with the Shatter, but sometime does find Toby one, left alone on point. Lots of low HP all around the board. It looks like Nebraska Esports are going to be able to stabilize this fight and get that tick back down to just the one. So a minute 40 left in the game. We've got May. Hugh has the Blizzard. She's got Beat, and Spark is going to have Blade. Cloud is going to come up on Beat, and MVP is going to have Rush very shortly as well. So we'll have to see what they choose to go in with. Shromo's going to get D-Max. Spark is going to pop the Blade, but is going to get found by Flippy almost immediately with the grenade. MVP is going to fall to Flippy as well. Cloud uses the Beat to kind of stay alive, but not for much longer, as Cheese is going to come out on top of the Lucio 1v1. She's also going to find Shromo, demeched, and this is going to be Michigan capping with about a minute left on the clock. So they should go up to just over 3.5. Trying to take space for the next one. They do swap off the Rhine and over to the Sigma, which I do think is going to help them play just a little bit more space. Michigan also has a vast ult economy gap going on for this next fight. Window comes down early in the choke. It's going to find Spark off of a right click from Hugh. Tremo's going to get demeched off to the side. I don't know that they're going to invest much more. If I was Michigan, I would take what we've got, and they are going to clean up Cloud, Tremo, and sometime as well. So Michigan gets to leave that fight with Sigflux, Blizzard, and High Noon, and Nebraska Esports is going to only be coming in with Overclock and Rush, which is not a bad combo. But I would say the Flux and the High Noon are a much better combo.
This is going to be a very interesting situation because we're approaching about the checkpoint that Nebraska got to and could not get past. So if Michigan gets past that tick line, this is essentially over.
Yep,
and it'll be Michigan up 2.
With Flux finding MVP, it's going to cause a lot of healing issues because they just have the Lucio heal. So he's also going to find sometime. He was also going to find Spark. Demeched on Tromo. Cheese is going to clean that up. But I think that's going to be Kings Row going to Michigan. And there it is. Michigan's going to go up 2-0. And we're headed on to map 3, which is a potential match point for Michigan. Sorry.
Yeah, I like everything that I saw there out of Michigan, especially after that initial break on Nebraska's offensive, which was very fast and impressive on Nebraska's part, but seeing the regain and the kind of fight back from Michigan, and then the very strong offensive that they had after a little bit of difficulty on that initial was very impressive to me. And it really says a lot about that. So, about that team, and getting to know Michigan through this film is, I mean, it's very impressive to see what they're able to accomplish here.
Yeah, Michigan really they stumbled a little bit into the weird diva comp that Nebraska Esports came out on, but once they kind of figured out what was going on, they were able to lock it in and figure out what they needed to do to overtake. But I think with that, we're going to be shortly heading to a short break. So, yeah, I think it's just it's a rough one, but we also saw this from Nebraska's match last week where they went down 2-0 and Nebraska was able to claw it back. They didn't quite take the reverse sweep, but they did bring it back to 3-2. So not the full thing, but just a little bit. So With that, I guess we'll see you on the other side of the break. All right. Well, we're back. We've got a little bit of a tech issue that we solved. So now I should be looking at the game in crisp 294 frames a second rather than we were running a little low. So casting level should go up as well, which will be a good thing. What do you think about that, Clone?
I'm thinking that's a great addition. I think that's a great thing for both teams. We get to really just complement a little bit more, get a little bit more understanding of each, because we could only see so much from what we were getting in frames, which isn't on anybody's part. It was really just a technical difficulty that's not on anybody. And I'm very excited to see a little bit smoother gameplay. I'm not quite at 290 like you. You're a little bit flexing on me right now, but
It dropped. It dropped. It's 280
it
now.
dropped. Okay, okay. All right. I'm
We
sitting
are
at a
starting out
nice
on
165.
okay, not bad. We are on
Yeah, yeah.
Saravasa, which is such a good map, and I do think, based on comps that we're seeing, Nebraska is going to have to really commit fully to the rush down onto Toby One. They're going to be looking for Flippy to use the shift ability, and once that shift ability is over and he's out of turret form, it's going to be a lot easier for them to push out of the door and just get there in general. But he was going to get found by sometime early in the poke phase, and Michigan are going to take that as a go. So they're going to run it down. Wall's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to close anything off, but they are going to completely shove Nebraska Esports back and out.
Yeah.
So
Something I thought about going into this map is this has been a very strong point for Nebraska is Flashpoint on this map. So I'm excited to see if Nebraska can adjust yet again, because this is where they staged their comeback last week against Ohio State. So there's some hope left for Nebraska still. And this is definitely a key to their success is this map right here and this specific offensive in establishing, an offensive presence.
yeah, I do think a big key to success for Nebraska Esports is going to be Shromo doing exactly that, finding Flippy. Nebraska Esports just kind of have to shut Flippy down pretty quickly. But as I say that, Cheese is also going to find Shromo. So Shromo has to stay alive in order for them to really get what they want to accomplish, especially with Toby 1 being at 98% to Flux, with Shromo only being at 70. And as I started talking, I 100% thought that Michigan had won that fight, especially after Shromo falling. But the rest of Nebraska Esports were able to turn it around. And Yamitra looks like they did use the window somewhere. I must have missed it. But yeah, Nebraska Esports kind of with the ult advantage now, as I was talking about not having an ult advantage, especially with the DPS and Cloud being able to stay there and keep everyone alive. Both teams just kind of staring each other down, but Toby 1 is going to use that to grab Shromo on the Flux. Flippy's going to find Spark as well. So Nebraska Esports is down 2-3 now with Cloud going down to Yamitra. Sometimes going to try to make a great escape, not going to happen. And that's going to be Michigan capping over the point and more than likely taking this tick point away. I don't see Nebraska Esports making a touch here.
Yeah, it's just too quick.
It looks like we're going across the map over to Ruins, which, if it's the one I'm thinking of, it is one of my favorite ones. It is. I like the long staircase in the middle. It's kind of a death sentence for certain people. Wall's going to come out from Hugh. It's not going to find anyone. Bastion Artillery Strike also going to do good damage, but isn't going to find anyone. Shromo's going to use the Rampage. Beat is going to come out from Cheese. And Blizzard as well. Nebraska Esports are going to get just torn through between the Blizzard, the Window, and the Bastion, just pumping damage in. So Rampage invested and beat as well, but not much comes out of it. Michigan is able to cap up the point, which is good, kind of what their comp wants exactly. So they're going to be holding up close, slowing Nebraska Esports push in that way. However, Michigan does have nothing to work with. So Overclock's going to come out of sometime. He's going to find Cheese. Shromo is going to get found by Toby one earlier, though. So definitely a better pick for Michigan. And with that, sometime and Cloud are also going to fall. Michigan are just going to push right through as they hit the 50% mark. And they're actually going to push up even further into the choke uh, to really stall things out and cause issues.
Yeah, we saw this last week in the Nebraska Ohio State match where Michigan now is getting really confident, really pressed forward, and Nebraska's in a really rough spot right now. And I mean, it gets even rougher with Toby One landing a huge flux, and the points capped now, and now we're heading into what could be, the beginning of the end here for tonight's matchup.
Yep, map point, match point. We're gonna game could end here on Palace. Nebraska Esports are gonna get an early contention here, and that's. Well, it seems like their game plan of rush isn't fully working, especially with the damage from Flippy and Flippy not really dying at all. It's causing a lot of issues, and with that window and artillery strike, Nebraska Esports are going to basically fully get out. Sometimes it's going to get found by Flippy's artillery strike. Q's going to find Cloud. Spark just kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place, but I think he's going to make it out, and Shromo's going to get walled off and found again early. So Michigan really targeting Shromo and keeping that tank out of the game. He's not able to build ults and do much damage. I think one of the things I usually notice about Shromo is that he's consistently just always a 70% to his next ult, or he has it. And so with the pressure he's been receiving, he's not able to do much more. But Toby One is going to find some time on the quick rotate, and a wall is going to separate the team out from their their main source of healing, which is MVP. But nothing else is going to come out of that little exchange. So currently Michigan is just winning these fights off of one pick, and Nebraska Esports resetting. With that, Toby One and Flippy are going to find MVP and Cloud. And with it being 70% to to the end of the game, it's going to be close. Nebraska Esports does have 5 ults to work with, so they're going to have to use them, and they're going to have to use them like now. So we're probably going to see a 5 ult drop, but a sneaky ult from Toby One is going to flux them, and I don't know that anyone's going to touch. It looks like Spark is going to use the blade to get over there, but he's going to be 1 HP, and he's just going to make the touch. But the rest of the team is kind of cut off. Shromo's going to push by. Cloud's going to get the next touch. Shromo trying to push into the Bastion is going to get found out. And that's most of Nebraska Esports falling, leaving just Cloud alive here, fending for the point against 4. He is doing some wiggles, but in the fountain, he's going to die. And as well as that, Nebraska's hopes for this game are going to die with Cloud in the fountain. And Michigan is going to win it out. In a 3-0 fashion. So very, very commanding team presence and team play, and a little bit better of knowing their comp and knowing what their win-loss expectation was, and making sure that everything they do puts them ahead, and they make sure Nebraska Esports can't do what takes or what puts them at risk. So very great, solid gameplay from Michigan. Nebraska is going to have to work on a couple things and figure it out, but that's going to lead Michigan to go 3-0 now in the BEC tournament, and Nebraska is going to go 1-2. Yeah, 1-2. So yeah, close game.
Yeah. What I liked about Michigan there is how dominant they were in combat in every single fight. And there were very few times that Nebraska was as commanding. And when they were, it was situational and it was sparing. And Michigan is just very much one of the premier teams in this league. It's turning out to be, at least for the initial year. This is what we're seeing, and it's really going to come down to if Nebraska can adjust by the time the land rolls around, and that's really going to be where I think a lot of teams shift up. Is where we finally get some experience in this league. A lot of these teams have never played each other, and so with Michigan being so dominant, Nebraska, I love what they did in a lot of different things. They changed up their team comp a lot, and they've really tried a lot of different experimental things. But going forward, they have to lock in on something, get very comfortable with it before that lands, so we can see some adjustments and some improvements.
Yeah, I think one thing that, at least from the last couple of weeks of me and Clone casting Nebraska's games, is uh, we talk a lot about Shromo and what Shromo is doing, and so Michigan did a great job of shutting down Shromo and making sure that uh, whatever he's doing, it's not relevant to their team, to Michigan, and they can just dominate him, and the rest of the team kind of has to just back out and wait for him to come in next. We did see a couple great fights where Troma would fall first, and they would Nebraska would be down a tank, and somehow like that first capture on the first point of Saravasa, where I looked at kill feed, I saw that Michigan had a few picks, and it was Shromo, and so I just assumed the fight was over. Started talking about other things, and I look up and there they are, Nebraska standing 4 on point with an entire kill feed of red. So, uh, I think it's all about locking it down and figuring out, who's the next man up, and then making sure they find out ways to make sure that Shromo doesn't fall early. And with Michigan, I mean, they just kind of have to keep doing what they're doing and dominating other teams and knowing exactly what is going on and the game plan on that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to say thank you everyone for tuning in and having, spending this time with us. And it's been an honor personally to be on the BEC channel in its initial year. It's been very fun to be casting alongside my boy Sam here. So you can catch us on Nebraska Esports. If you're a Husker fan, go Big Red. See you guys again, Michigan. We have plenty of games coming up throughout the week, and I'm hoping you guys tune into this channel, really get this league going to the next level. Very excited to see where this all goes.
yep. So catch us next week. We'll be doing another Overwatch game for Nebraska, more than likely. This casting duo. Don't know what channel we'll be on yet, but keep an eye on socials, both the BEC social and Esports Nebraska social media, Twitters, and you'll get updates there. So. Yeah, Clone said, thanks for tuning in, and we hope everyone has a great rest of their evening. So.